Hello everyone, my name is Miles Moore and I am with Washburn University Percussion, and I am very excited to present an interview with Dr. Matthew Lau. Dr. Matthew Lau performs a wide range of repertoire with an absolute commitment to communicating with meaning and essence of percussion music to his audience from classical to contemporary. He is aiming to democratize classical and contemporary music through his high caliber and approachable performances and interactive social media, all presented with a whimsical twist. Dr. Lau pursues a strong interest in contemporary percussion music. His vision and aesthetic are all aimed to expand the ever-growing percussion repertoire by pushing existing boundaries, incorporating electronics and technologies, and lastly, discovering new sounds. Without further ado, it is my honor to present our interview with Dr. Matthew Lau.
Let's start.
Let's do this thing. Okay, so Matt, I gotta ask, first thing is, what inspired your hair?
My hair. It was years of people telling me I can't do big hair because I grew up with very strict, fine Asian hair.
Mm-hmm.
So you always want what you don't have, right?
Yeah.
So like growing up, even watching TV or like when you go in high school and then you're in adulthood trying to change your hairstyle many times, different color. It just never worked that way.
Mm-hmm.
So until 2013, 14-ish, I switched to a new barber. And he was just like, we can try it. I can teach you some techniques. So that sort of just go from there. And I explore it a lot.
So you just want, was there a specific style that like inspired you to get that hair?
Not really.
Not really? You just
I think I made that up.
Oh, nice.
I mean, in history, in the 20s, that's a pompadour,
Mm-hmm.
right? But a pomp, you're supposed to use pomade and you have really long hair and you comb one way.
Okay, I got you.
And mine doesn't work really that way. It's more like a pompadour shaped, but years of experimenting later, I discover back combing and folding like bridal hair. How do they get that height? And that little thing on the side, it's like the Danish.
Yeah.
So it's like a cross between pompadour with some Victory Rolls technique.
Oh,
like
wow.
In the 20s, the pinup models,
Yes.
like Dita Von Teese, right? They have these like rolls in front and the back. That's basically what
and I see
what
that
they
roll
do.
in your album cover.
Mm-hmm. So what I do is I tease the back and I fold it up. If I have my hair down to here,
Mm-hmm.
so I tuck the end to this side and put a clip there.
Oh wow!
So that's actually how they do Victory Rolls.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of videos on, ladies doing Victory Roll going up.
Have you ever dyed it or anything?
When I was in high school in undergrad,
What color?
maroon, red, purple, pinkish. It's always that kind of color. I went blonde once. My mom hated it, and I hated it too because my hair is dark, right? So like it's no good. But from I think age 21 onward, it's always been black, my natural color.
Mm-hmm. So you were talking yesterday in your album. You were talking about identity of the vibraphone. What is your ideal identity of the vibraphone for you personally? That is
detached from its jazz background.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people write vibraphone music would just draw interest from either jazz languages, or they have studied with a jazz player, or they have taken composition classes in jazz and use that harmony because that's the history of the instrument, right? And it's hard to detach from it for many people, subconsciously even. So that's basically approach it as a brand new instrument than like certain definition or like assumption.
Mm-hmm. And then continuing on that, you also talked about your identity as a percussionist. How do you feel like in the past? How was your identity seen as a percussionist compared to versus now?
When I was in school, my colleagues, grad students or the undergrad, the seniors, whatever, they just see me as that kid who can play a lot of marimba music, like play really fast mallet music. That's all I can do. I remember there was one time, so I was a mallet bitch, right? And in my first year of masters, in NYU, we had a lot of ensembles, and I would get these like monstrous part, which I can handle. I don't really need to practice that hard on those because I know my strength while practicing the 6 million things I have in my solo repertoire as students. I remember one time, this undergrad senior quartet or whatever, this group, they were playing, I forgot what it was. the bass drum player had some kind of medical issue and he had to go to the hospital. And I had to fill in on the day of the show, right?
You were playing the bass that day?
Bass drum and like a drums,
Oh,
not
wow.
drum set, like a tom-tom.
Mhm.
It was a big setup. And they were like, well, who can do it? Because everybody have like fixed schedule already. So like I can't, a lot of graduates can't do it. They have to work, they have things to do. And they were like, Matt, can you do it? And they were like, well, but it's not mallets. Can you do it? And I'm like, of course I can do it. I play timpani, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Timpani is not mallets. So I did it with basically the sound check as a rehearsal. And they were like,
wow.
well, how do you do that? Like we rehearse, you saw us rehearse every week for like 4 hours a week. And I said, yeah, I don't only play marimba or keyboards. And that's how I was always viewed, even in orchestral festivals.
Mhm.
Like we are in a level playing field, right? We both audition the same way. We both, all 20 people in Aspen Music Festival audition the same, more or less, same excerpts and same repertoire on snare drum, on timpani, on xylophone, on Bach. So pretty even, right?
Yeah.
You would say, and they would still see me as a kid who just play a lot of marimba, and that was, I take it as a compliment,
Mhm.
but in retrospect, I feel like it wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
But then I would get these like great timpani parts too, and they would be very jealous.
So you said at least on your website in your doctorate you wanted to explore more of the contemporary. What like caused your interest to start with the contemporary background?
So that has to do with, again, in Aspen, the
Mhm.
summer of Aspen Music Festival in 2011. That was like a switching point. Like I was doing I mentioned I do a lot of timpani auditions and like, you know, in the orchestral world, the audition machine world, and I know the tonal language pretty well. Like I would say, playing all this repertoire on marimba, like you know, and piano too. Like so, I know how to create music and phrasing and breathing and release and tension with tonal music. And then I went to the Aspen Contemporary Ensemble, and then I hear living composers music, and I will say, I don't. Even sometimes in percussion ensemble, actually, I remember Jonathan, my teacher, program a sextet called "For Oh, the Hobby Horse is Forgotten" by Sir Harrison Burt Whittle, very famous British composer. And I don't know what it. I don't understand. I can play it, but I don't understand the syntax. It's like reading something similar in English, but you don't understand really what it is. So that got me thinking. There's so much new music by living composers that I could be working with. Maybe I should do that. So I with curiosity leading this, which is okay, I'm not gonna do the timpani thing anymore because I love playing timpani. I like making sound, like the techniques and timpani playing, but I want to explore that because we can get to work with living composers, right? A lot of the other instrumentalists, they don't, like they play.
You compose, right?
I don't.
Oh.
That's why I have amazing friends like Vaughn who write for me. I'm not blessed with that gene.
But like so did you feel like timpani, like being a timpanist, was that like limiting your maybe creativity, or like maybe just felt kind of bored almost with it?
I don't think it was bored. I was never bored with timpani. It's almost like a tool to learn how to manipulate sound and control sound with your hand and your muscle, because you can manipulate sound on a timpani, on a 32, a G. If you can play it well, you can manipulate that exact same sound on a marimba, on a shitty tom-tom, on a really nice tom-tom, or a really good snare drum, or a really bad conga, playing with sticks. So I think it's part of the training process, like that. I do believe we need to play snare drum and timpani. The repertoire teachers told us to play to get to where we are, so we can make our art happen with the tools that we have. But it was almost like, because I speak a couple of languages, and it's like as if learning a new language, but I know the alphabet, I know the vocabulary. I don't understand.
Is it like the subtleties within it, and you're just like, maybe like, I don't know, a good like example would be like how like some people don't know meme culture, and they're just like, oh, what is that?
Not even subtlety.
Not even
Sometimes it's just right on, like a new language. Like if you were to, I don't know, if I present a text to you in Italian, you see like some cognate, right, with English, and some, the alphabet is Latin.
Yes.
And then you see some word that you would know from music or maybe from everyday vocabulary, but you don't really understand anything. it was kind of the same way when I listened to new music. It's like, what am I listening for? And it got me thinking. And then when I went back to New York, I told Jonathan, my teacher, Jonathan Haas, was like, let's switch focus a little bit. And it was like, great, because he also do a lot of new music. So we just went from there, and I picked up the piece. Omar, I talked about yesterday. The notes made no sense to me. I played it, I memorized it, I can play it, I can execute it, but it's like with no soul, with no meaning. And he suggested I study more with this guy, my old teacher in my doctorate, Eduardo Leandro. I was never planning to get a doctorate because I'm not a good student. I'm that bad kid in high school. So with that in mind, I auditioned for my DMA, studying with Eduardo from 2013, basically getting all this repertoire to like, if you learn English, right, you read Jane Austen, you read Shakespeare's, maybe not that, but like, you get what I mean. I go through the same thing with that in mind, and for 4 years, I finished my degree in 4 years.
Dang.
So it's kind of like, okay, I kind of know, what style. There are the American minimalism coming out of the 50s art movement, and there are expressionism coming out of the second Viennese school of Schoenberg and Berg and all that good stuff, 12-tone music. And there are neoclassicism, right? Tonal music, but living composers. There are spectralists, whom I love really like a lot. And there are new complexity composers like Mark Applebaum and all these great composers in Stanford. So I pick what I like. Sometimes I don't like a lot of music actually, and then I just go for like stuff that I like.
So, kind of like a add on to that, what, like when you're looking at a new piece to like learn to play and everything, what are you looking for in those contemporary pieces that make you want to play them? Are you like looking for like some sort of groove? Is it like, oh, that looks challenging, I wonder if I could do that? Or
if you ask 25-year-old me, I would look for specific things, like very technical, very like, I'm gonna fulfill this 8-minute requirement that I need. I wanted something flashy, and I want this kind of sound in my head. I want certain thing. Now it's a gut feeling. You sort of know with the composers and the group you move within. It's like, okay, there's a lineage following this composer, right? He studied with who and whom in which conservatory, which I know his teacher's music, so you can kind of get an idea of like, okay, this I can probably vibe with. And then I got the music, you look at it, and then you see all these gestures, and you can kind of get a feel of how the music is. Last night, the Massimo Laricella, the portrait, Restrati, it was the same way. He sent it to me. It was just PDF, right? And I look at it. I sing everything I play. So I was just like sexing this, like, okay, I can see this. I would like this. 89%, 90%, I'm very sure I would like this. Even the movement that I did not started liking, I find more nuances, and I start to dig in more. And there are pieces that I don't like. Like, I thought it was nice to listen to, and I got the music and I play. I'm like, this is just working for me. So I'm not gonna waste time on this. So mostly gut feeling now. But I would say when you're in school, because we do have some kind of curriculum or like text, so to speak, we need to study. So like the teacher would tell you like, first year play this, find a piece here, and then you move on. There's a reason for that. And then maybe when you get to your senior, junior, when you're trying to find yourself, you can come out of that list from the, let's say, 3 pieces that you like, and do some research on these 3 composers. And like maybe they have taught some students, they're older or whatever, and they have some students, and maybe those are the people that you will be approaching because they're the same age. You can work with them, develop a relationship, and all that stuff.
So continuing on, like at least the identity and then finding yourself, you said you wanted to democratize classical contemporary music. What does that exactly mean, like in your definition?
So democratize, we think about democracy, right? It's about public opinion, you vote. Democratize means make something popular or public. The idea was when I was not so much in the US, part of the US, because I'm fortunate to live in the Northeast. So a lot of art center hubs and whatnot. But even in the Northeast, we always play these kind of music for a very specific audience. Very like academia, right? Very academic within the new music series in the university with your teachers, your colleagues who are in new music, compared to like people who go to the Chicago Symphony or go to New York Symphony. They are just random patron, right? Random, your mom, my aunt, your dad, or not, your babysitter. That's kind of what I wanted to do, to push the music of our time, contemporary in our time, right? To the people of our time. So I've had a lot of comments thrown at me saying, oh, if you're playing in this certain festival, like for example, my group in Hong Kong, and this is in Hong Kong, so like their taste for contemporary music is threshold is way lower. There's a long way to go, which is normal because in Europe, that's part of their culture. In Germany, in Berlin, Switzerland, and France, contemporary music was born out of those epicenter, right? And then years later, it crossed upon, and it's in the U.S., in New York, in Boston, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Baltimore. That's normal. But to get to Asia, it's a lot of work to be done. Like people who need to be studying abroad, and then 20 years later, they came back to their origin, and then they, like myself, like my friend, my colleagues. So in most of the Asian people I've talked to, like in Korea, in Japan, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, they were like, yeah, it's mainly like string quartet, wind quintet, Schubert, Brahms, Ravel, Debussy, like, pretty much you study in school, right? Yeah. Until like maybe 1945. That's like the bracket. Yeah. And ends there. And people will, they will say, oh, you should probably program something more easy listening. I've had requests to do like a Maroon 5 arrangement. And like, you have the wrong group. There's another percussion group that we don't really work together because they're doing more of a pop arrangement. They do these mall gigs. We have a lot of inside malls, like that's part of subway station. We are in, so to speak, classical contemporary world. So we're not going to do that. But what we will do is we will be very good storyteller and convincing performers. So we can play these music that we play to a way with some kind of the script where we're talking about the music, outreaching program and whatnot, so that normal audience will understand. So we did that. In 2 years, we did, I don't know, like 11 outreach concert in this museum. During lunchtime, it's in like a business district.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
a lot of random people eat lunch, and like, it was an ex-British prison and ministry and court all at once. So back in the colonial days in Hong Kong, they would arrest people, lock them in there for arraignment, and then police station, court, and jail all in one spot.
Holy crap.
Colonial Edwardian structure. Now it's being turned into an art museum called Taikun, Taikun. In Chinese, it means big station. And we were playing in the laundry steps. It's called the laundry step concert because that's where the inmate do their laundry. It's like a concrete. Yeah. It was so awesome. And then we did that. We play all spectrum of contemporary music to the audience. And the questionnaire we got was like, yeah, this is something very interesting. We're interested. And subsequently, 2020 November, we were playing in New Music Festival in Hong Kong. We did a custom cocktail pairing concert, which is the same thing. We sent out a questionnaire. Only about 2% of the audience member were musicians. Everybody else was, yeah, we saw your ad on the subway, on the magazine, on the newspaper, and we thought it was interesting to have like a cocktail pairing. We don't know what we expect, but we play like solid contemporary music, and they were positive. I think people don't have faith in their
It's really nice to see, like, because like typically, like, whenever we have a concert with new music, there's not much of a turnout compared to maybe a wind ensemble concert, because there's more familiar tunes that
I think it has to do with smart programming, like on curators, on my end as curators and performers. We need to be smart about programming and the length of the pieces. You want to leave your audience wanting more than like, when does this end? Right? That feeling. And some people are really against talking in concert. Like some of my colleagues in New York are like, this is so bad, like faux pas. I'm like, but if you throw it depends. Like if you give them a couple of sentences, I think, what is that? It's like a guided listening.
Oh yeah.
At least they know what they're looking for than just like, okay. So like breaking that, so democratizing. It's like if you think about actors, right? You have a fourth wall.
Yes.
It's like breaking that fourth wall. It's like saying, hey, we're also human. This is what we do. I hope you understand. And then we go back behind that fourth wall and we play. That's kind of what we meant.
Okay, I
By
gotcha.
democratizing.
So then, I guess that leads to, because you were talking about the differences in Hong Kong. That's where you were born, right? So what are the differences that you found in the between musicians in Hong Kong versus America?
People, I think in general in Asia, people are. I can't really stereotype my people, but at least in my era, I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s through British colony and then colonial rule, and then we returned to China. But Asian culture in general are very close-minded. It's very like top down. Like teacher tells you what to do. There's not much critical thinking in our in our culture. We weren't raised that way, or like the teachers at school is not going to tell you what do you think. If I give you this case, like critical thinking, like what is the possible outcome? It's not like there's always like one definition and you memorize the definition
and then that's it. They never let you go on, maybe come up with a new.
No, like you have great report. My report card sucks, but like my friend who got like straight A's, whatnot, they went into medical school, they went into law school, accountant, the usual, big university, really good grades. They're not good problem solvers. They can't really like. It's actually very apparent. Some of my students back there last 2 years ago, they were they're your age, right? Like 19, 20. They were getting better. Like you can see the change is slow. But when you throw like as I guess 10 of them aged 19 to 25 in a room to talk about, so what do you think about what's happening in Ukraine? What do you think about what's happening in we don't really read a lot about American politics. What do you think? Yeah, Ukraine. What do you think that would affect us, as in people from Hong Kong in relation to China? What do you think of that and like current events, right? Or what do you think of abortion?
Those conversations don't really come up ever.
They don't know what to answer, which is like crickets. Like, okay, then we're trying to like even. I try to lead some info session on like, okay, now you're finishing your undergrad. Do you want to go to grad school? If you don't want to go to grad school, where do you want to go? Okay, if you want to go to grad school, what do you want to do? Like, you need to start researching these teachers. What are your interests? Do you have to write some kind of personal statement, right? It doesn't happen. They're like, I don't know. I'm gonna go to like San Francisco Conservatory because it's kind of close and like, I don't know. It's cool, man. The teacher's cool. It seems nice. I can play marimba. That's it. I'm like, okay, that's not a good answer. Cool is not a good answer. You're a senior, so you should be
striving for more.
You should know what you want in life, which is very strange. People in Hong Kong are very vocalized about what they want.
Yes.
So other countries, like I toured to like Taiwan. We speak Mandarin. They also even more so very top down, very polite, very like we don't encouraging of critical thinking and whatnot. Very different. Me, I was raised different way because my mom was very liberal. She's in fashion. My godmother's in New York. She named me. She's this hipster from, she's in her 60s now. She lived in the East Village for 40 years. She's great, and I've always been brought up in that environment. I also went to a private school in elementary school, so like we were. We were inspired to. My school was like a pioneer of like critical thinking. Like you can do whatever you want, versus like memorization. But I did go to a public school in high school, and that was like a big shock for me. That's why I was the problematic kid. Oh, I got it, because you didn't like. You're like, oh, I want to do it. Because I want to do music. Yeah. And they were like, my teacher was like, if you want to do music, we're not going to focus pretty much on you. We're going to focus. As teachers, we're going to focus on the good kids, because you guys are pretty much, so to speak, are going to be waitresses, or they really do look down on those people, service industry or like salespeople. They would think, oh, you're not going to go to college. Yeah. They said it to my mother. And you're just like, yeah, I'm going to go to college. And then here you are now. I'm going to freaking go to college and get a doctorate and go back to you and like throw my diploma. Like, I'm not going to do that. Biggest middle finger. Bless her heart. It's fine.
So, we were talking a little bit yesterday, and I wanted to kind of expand on the have you ever had any like trouble with percussion organizations in America? Like at least from, I would say, because typically it's a lot of white men in power of these positions. Have you ever had any trouble like maneuvering through that kind of system?
I think during dinner, you and Dr. Hansen were talking about something about PASIC.
Not directly, but also because I was involved with PAS only recently. My first term as the keyboard committee, one of the members of the keyboard committee, so we overlook artist application for keyboards, right? You have a keyboard masterclass, keyboard clinic, etc. During COVID, so all of our meetings were via Zoom, so it was different. It wasn't until last PASIC that we had our first in-person meeting. Eye-opening to see these people in person. I do feel the obstacle that we have to deal with. For example, they were talking about that's fine, but silver lining is the community is changing. There's a lot of women. There is a lot of when me and Wei Jin, two Asian, we're both gay. I would say it's like a 70-30 split right now. The 30 being the old school sort of cis white male, not including the jazz. The jazz people are separated from. I'm not including in the conversation, just the classical side. Okay. When we were talking about masterclass choices and like who should we encourage to apply, we were the younger bunch and the women, even Nancy Seltman, were very vocal about we should be doing maybe this person or this person because they deserve more, blah, blah, blah. And like they were older member of the community. They were professors in a certain college for 30, 40 years, right? Like, oh, we should get my buddy whom from Texas. Yeah. And then as someone younger than me next to me, I was thinking to myself, why was he doing this? Because yes, I respect what he did for the community, and like his knowledge is not, it's undeniably like really great player and he knows a lot. But for that subject matter, we're talking about a specific subject matter, Japanese music. There are a lot of other players and artists that we can invite to apply. It's not just him. He's a sure winner because he can get a good crowd and then pack the room with like all these kids from Texas, from Oklahoma, from California. It's gonna be great. I know him forever. But we've been seeing masterclass from him as long as I could remember in PASIC for maybe like 5 years in 5 PASIC in 7 years. Yeah. And maybe at this point, it's like, okay, we need to put some new blood in here. Maybe just right. And then we were trying to like really inject that, but it doesn't seem like he's receptive or whatever. So I don't know who applied or what not. We've done our share of encouraging our, other folks to apply and stuff. We can control the outcome that much. We all vote actually, but that's the first time I've sort of encountered this sort of obstacle firsthand. My first board meeting should be in a couple of months, so I will tell you then. Oh, sweet. Okay. I don't know. Let's just see how it goes. But I do see a change in the board advisor roster a lot. A lot more female, a lot more. Another Bostonian, Maria Finkelmeyer, she's sort of this entrepreneurial new music. She's into NFT. She's improvising. She has a LLC, and then she has a nonprofit, and then she has another LLC. She's teaching in Berkeley in Conservatory, Berkeley in Northeastern about not percussion, all about an entrepreneur. And it's like, she's amazing, Marie Finkelmeyer. And we talked about this. We were like, yeah, Boston is not the most forward in terms of new music. So like, it's mainly the orchestral dudes, right? So like, there are pockets of us somewhere here, but that's why she's involved with PAS too. Like, we want to be making important decisions, forward decision moving forward. Do you ever feel like stuck kind of in like one spot within like the percussion world every once in a while? Or like, are you just always trying to like maybe expand as much as you can? And like with, I guess in this case, identity, but more so with the contemporary / your own kind of ideas and how you want to present like your playing? I don't think I was ever stuck. I'm stuck in a way that I would be stuck in a piece. I practice so much that the piece is not moving forward, plateau, right? Yeah. It's not that kind of stuck. No, I never really felt that way. Because I'm like very curious, right? I'm very inquisitive, so I would look for something I don't know. I just keep working on what I don't know and like find new projects and like ideas for new projects. So that's fortunate, I guess.
Yeah, that is good. So I guess we'll just
I think the cocktail pairing thing. Well, I'm telling you, it's not. It's semi-planned because I like to drink, and my percussion group, we have two directors. Karen, she brews her own beer.
That's awesome.
Her boyfriend owns a brewery actually, and she likes sour brew. So we toy with this idea of beer pairing. Ooh. This is pre-pandemic, so like people do actually drink and they can spit it out if they don't like it. We did that. We played some Cage. We played some Sarah Henny's music. We did some table music. It was nice. And then we were like, what if we do like a grand and just do like basically this on steroids? So we hire mixologists. We pick the spirit we want to focus. We make a custom. Oh, the can design is here. These are the label from the actual can. Like this goes around the can.
Really? Dang.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, there's a QR code here. You can scan the program. This is a fruitier cocktail. This is a earthier cocktail. So it pairs with the pieces that you're supposed to go with. And we produce. I can send you pictures and stuff. We transform the entire theater into a speakeasy.
That is cool.
That is awesome.
We don't want people to know what it is. So when people think of theater, they think of like, okay, sit down, clap, clap, clap. So we have custom furniture made. The stage is basically a bar. They have to go through a back staircase because it's easy. And we feature music from Argentina because I've toured there a lot and I love Argentinian people. And one of their favorite drinks is this Italian bitters called the Fernet Branca. So we feature that and we make 2 cocktails out of it. And there are colleagues before from like, I don't know, it's going to give you money for that. But the festival was like, we will fully fund you and support you. So like we
might as well go for it.
Do this. So a lot of our great ideas are very last minute. We are both our grant writers. A lot of the time it's like, okay, we need to come up with a name for this. A lot of this just happened last minute. So it's nice.
So speaking of, I guess like your projects and passions, what's next like for you?
I'm going to keep touring with this program.
Okay.
Especially moving back to the States in this current political climate with Hong Kong, with the US,
yes.
With Europe, it's supposedly more forward thinking, but you'll be surprised. It's actually not. There's a lot of work to be done.
There's a lot in Europe.
In Europe, a lot of Western European, not even Eastern Europe, it's just Western Europe, like France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. I have a lot of connection in Spain because my mouth, it's made by this mouth community in Spain. So, and I tour a lot in Latin America and I speak Spanish. So I have a lot of connection in Spanish speaking worlds, and Italy and France. And it's like they have a good, solid contemporary audience, but it's not very diverse.
Yeah. And
some of them actually phrased out to me, and they're like, we don't understand this. What is this diversity you guys are thinking? Is it an American thing? I said, well, it's not really. It's like maybe an English speaking thing. Like the Spanish authority, there's once authority for the Spanish language in Spain that controlled all the dictionaries, called the RAE, Real Academia Española. They are the big daddy to control, like, this word is going to incorporate this lang to the dictionary. They have rejected gender neutral pronouns.
Really?
They said it's not very Spanish-like. It's good. If you go with history, Mexico is pushing for it. Like you will see them use it colloquially, but it's not official. So I'm good to see like there's some progress on in Argentina and Mexico and Uruguay, like more forward thinking, but not in Spain, not in Europe. So I wanted to keep playing this and keep to see what it leads me.
Maybe just try to continue to plug the idea.
Especially more so because, like I said, political wise, in Hong Kong, people are leaving overnight from the politics side of it.
Yeah.
If you do some Googling, you'll see we have protests from 1819 with throwing bombs, and we don't want to be part of China. Then sadly, there's a new law that we have to censor ourselves. We have to sign an agreement to censor ourselves.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Right. And it's hard. Some of my friends stayed. Some of my friends like living with the status quo. They're like, it is what it is. Some just left, especially with family. If they kids, the kids are learning a new set of history now. the textbook was written in a way saying like we were never a British colony.
Wow.
Which is like
Yeah.
like my teacher teaches in high school, right? My friend teaches in high school, like, yeah, we're leaving. It's like,
Yeah, it's like
crazy.
you
You have to sign in a pledge of allegiance.
No way.
Yeah, they do, like a line, right? So, so coming back to the States, touring, it's like I need to be more vocal about who I am, and yeah, my husband's American. Like, I live here. My culture, it's not just American culture for me. It's like what I learned from growing up and like what I take from these traveling. It's like I want to be telling people that who I am, where I'm from. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep playing this for a while.
Yeah. And then do you hope to like maybe use this to inspire people to find their identities as well? And just,
absolutely. I kept telling some of these students, it's like, you guys doing these like university tours, playing for studios, it's more fulfilling for me, for my soul, than like playing in a big concert series, because you can't really, I don't talk as much in concert series. I would give a couple of sentences, but to talk to students about what I was going through and what I'm going through now, a lot of them actually coming back to me saying like, yeah, you were right. My teacher in this school right now is telling me because I'm a girl and this is the way I dress, I should be working in other industry.
Yeah, and it's
right,
like,
and it's like
that's not, maybe that's not you,
or they have some idea of what they want to do with their art, and the teacher's like, no, this is bad.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know this. You know, you should just follow the other people's path, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we see that, like, maybe I'm pretty sure every college sees this, but
I think for older generation teachers, like I always encouraged, not all of them. There were some like my teachers, like my and their colleagues, but I do find it more so in older generation teachers. The younger teachers, like in our 30s and early 40s, like some of my colleagues, they're very open-minded. They're basically going through what we're going through 15 years ago in school.
Yes.
But they had to fight harder than now.
Yes. So that's really good though. At least for me, I love the way how you presented your concert. I like the idea how like you was like, this is the overall idea, this is why, and I'm like, great, now I have something to latch onto while I'm listening to this. I think that's phenomenal. At least I feel like we should do that more in concerts.
Yeah, I've been always doing that. I'm trying to think if there's like one biggest concert venue that I've done that I hadn't talked. No, I've always talked to a certain extent, like shorter, longer, more serious, but I've always talked.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm good. Do you have any more questions?
I was just gonna say, like, the whole thing with your program yesterday being about your identity, it kind of, did you choose those pieces on the program because you felt like they resonated with you a little bit more than something else, or was it because like you felt that was you in those songs?
More so, I think resonating is a big part. Like I said, the last piece, the Italian piece, was written for my percussion hero and Mr. Omar, and the name piece Omar was my first piece into this world. And pretty much everybody who play contemporary will tell you that's the piece, one of the two pieces that you would do in competition, in repertoire, and it's like a piece. So doing a little digging is like, yeah, I'm friends with Mr. Omar, listen to his music and read his bio, like he followed the Italian path. I kind of know that, okay, it's gonna be very much the music that I like, a la Donatoni, like who wrote Omar. And okay, so I'm gonna listen to his music, even though I don't know this piece he was gonna send me, but I can get an idea, get a sense. And I like drama. I think, like I said, I think new music and contemporary music, however you want to, avant-garde music, should be whimsical. These like 5 million crap ton of notes should be fun and whimsical to play. I'm doing the heavy lifting, but the audience is not looking at me playing really fast. It's like, what's the meaning of this 4 million notes I'm playing? That's what we're doing as performers. So it's always gut feeling, like it's that lineage, and like that resonates with me a lot. There are pieces that I practice halfway, and I'm like, this something's not right. Like I like the composers. It's just not a good piece. Personally, I just don't like it. I just don't see myself practicing this. It's not worth the time. And you know yourself. Yeah. You should know your strengths and weaknesses, what you like, what you don't like. Sometimes it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for 3 months. It's not gonna happen for 6 months. It's just, do you guys watch Mean Girls?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Gretchen, stop making fetch happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Exactly.
See, you said
I went through that in college. Like I stuck to it like 7 months, like entire year trying to play this piece, and I'd play it. I would tell myself, oh, because I hadn't memorized it. Oh, because I don't have the tempo up to the. And then I played it up to tempo. Like at the end, memorized it, and I still hated it. And then my teacher was like, "Don't play it. I can see in your face. You're not enjoying it. Scrap it."
Do you think we kind of talked yesterday about people always wanting to do big flashy things, and that being what? And you said something a minute ago about how when you're doing the heavy lifting, they're not there to see you. They're to see the.
Well, I still like big flashy things, but
yeah.
It's not doing the big flashy thing for the sake of playing big flashy things.
Yeah, because I notice if I'm learned something and I'm proud of it and I show my parents, if it's not big and flashy, they'll be like, "That's cool."
Okay, that's what I always said. You're trying to impress people. Don't do that. They should be impressed by you. It could be a slow, flashy thing, but they should be impressed by what you're trying to say, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm gonna play velocities because it's nonstop and it's loud and fast. I'm gonna wow these judges and people. No, I don't know how it works. You genuinely like the piece you're doing, and you can see in your eyes or whatever. They will be impressed by you, even though it's like a slow meditation piece.
Yeah. So before we end off, do you have any plugs?
Plugs?
Yeah, I mean, always got to give the plugs.
17th of April, I'm playing in the Richmond Fringe Festival in Richmond, Virginia. Then I'm going to Italy in May. June, I'm going to Perth, Australia to teach in this marimba festival called Marimba Fest. And then I'm going to travel in Melbourne and Sydney and just sort of play a little bit and see my friends. Check out I have new videos coming.
Ooh.
As the 3rd, 4th, and 5th movement of portraits of Strati. I had already recorded the first 2 under a bridge in Boston. Check them out. They're going to be out probably next month or so.
Sweet.
I'm getting edits. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you for being on the show, and we will sign off.
Bye.
Thank you all for watching our interview with Dr. Matthew Lau. Once again, I'm Miles Moore from Washburn University Percussion, and I will see you next time.